So just summarising here, the four cases that I'm going to look at in some detail. Firstly, the case of Chowser and Martins. So that's a case where the court had to assess the extent of financial dependency. And a couple of quite interesting issues came out there. One is, when should the courts move away from the conventional percentages that are usually adopted when assessing dependency? So that's how much of the deceased's income would have been available for the dependents. And then also, the court had to look at issues of trying to distinguish between when there's actually a financial dependency and when there's just a pure loss of income arising from the death. Second case I want to look at is Young and Downey. It's another High Court decision. And what's interesting there is that the court adopted a loss of chance approach when calculating a dependency claim. And then there's two Court of Appeal decisions to unpack. So firstly, the case of Hill and Witham, and that looks at some of the basic principles as to when a dependency claim arises, and also it gives some useful guidance on how they should be valued, particularly how the loss of services should be valued. Finally, really, I think it's just worth looking at some points that were set out by Lady Justice Nicola Davies in her judgment in Paramount and Ricks, because she helpfully set out sort of 6 key principles that can be identified from the authorities dealing with dependency claims as to the approach that the courts should take to the assessment of damages to be awarded for a dependency claim. And I think, sort of just to round off today, I think it's worth just running through these, as they do highlight the main points that have come out and were touched on in these 4 cases we've looked at, and pull together some of the sort of underlying strands of it all. So the first was that she said that the question to be addressed is what is the extent of the dependent's loss based upon a reasonable expectation of pecuniary benefit from the continuance of the life of the deceased. So that's that basic principle going all the way back to the Pym decision in the 1850s, that is the starting point for a dependency claim, the reasonable expectation of pecuniary loss test. And of course, we see that in Witham. So in Witham, the Court of Appeal was satisfied that there was a reasonable expectation of pecuniary loss. Mrs. Witham relied on her husband's services so that she could work, and that was something that had a pecuniary value.